Thank you, Pat, for such an uplifting song and a very much time. So good morning, Joyful Gathering.
Good morning.
One of the travesties of our times is the tendency to feel like we are running out of control, like everything is happening to us. We turn on the news or read posts on social media, and we sadly learn about natural tragedies, social injustices, and vast devastations taking place not just here, but everywhere in the world. The divisive political climate in our country can bring immense stress and uncertainty. And Mother Nature seems to be mirroring these controversies and chaos by sending us catastrophic hurricanes just to shake things up a little bit more. So this only accentuates the downward spiraling feeling of dreadfulness, victimhood, and lack. But let's not despair, my friends. I'm sure you did not come to Joyful Gathering to get even more negative or depressed today, right? I'm sure you came here to be uplifted and find even more happiness within your life. Am I right?
Yes.
Awesome. So you're in the right place at the right time. Because with all these tragedies taking place all at once, two major questions arise. The first one is, how can we turn the travesties into majesty? And the second question is, how can we shift our mindset so that we can move away from a state of victimhood, powerlessness, and negativity into a state of happiness, fulfillment, and well-being? And so today, well, before I even get into that, lucky for us, Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science and science of mind, which is the philosophy that we follow and teach here at Joyful Gathering, has given us incredibly powerful tools to turn away from limiting situations and conditions in our life into the divine kingdom of God, divinity, source, whatever you'd like to call that larger energy that brings life into your being. So let me clarify a little something that sometimes gets misconstrued when we talk about this. Turning away from outside conditions does not mean that we don't care. It also doesn't mean that we are pretending it's not there. It simply means we are moving beyond the afflicting condition or limiting circumstance into the highest power. The power of God, the power of peace, the power of love, the power of prosperity, the power of joy, the power of well-being, the power of pure potentiality that already has within it the answer and solutions for everything. And lucky for you and I, we don't even need to look so far away to find this incredible power, for it already exists right within you, right where you are. This force field of love has created you, and it's the unparalleled created power that is already living inside of you. So when we turn to it, we become the best version of ourselves. Not just to overcome whatever is limiting you in life, but more importantly, to let go of feeling like a victim and to begin creating your life on purpose from the highest and best place. Are you with me?
Yes.
All right. So let me share with you today 3 master keys to creating your life on purpose. And by the way, these keys come from my forthcoming book, Live Your Happily Ever After Now, a spiritual guide to happiness, authenticity, and purpose. And you probably have guessed it. The 3 keys that I'm sharing with you today are happiness, authenticity, and purpose. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. The first key is happiness. As we set our course to creating a happy and fulfilled life on purpose, we need to turn on our internal GPS. You need to put this key in your car, turn on this GPS, and plug in where you're going. After all, you can't really know when we finally arrived at your destination if you never really indicated the direction of your travels, right?
Absolutely.
So in this step, we focus on our destination by simply directing our intentions. Now, quite often, when setting up intentions, we zoom in on what we want to accomplish, what is our goal, what we want to get done, and we tend to leave out how we actually want to feel as we are traveling in this juicy journey of life to get to our destination. So with this key, the question becomes, how do you want to feel as you are creating your life on purpose? Now go ahead and ask yourself this question in your mind. How do I want to feel as I am creating my life on purpose? So once you ask yourself this question, just allow one word to come to mind. I want to feel blank, and just fill in the blank. Now remember, this isn't a test. There is no passing or failing. You will not be thrown out of Joyful Gather for giving the wrong answer. Okay? Let's get the critic out of our mind, and let's just allow that one word. How do you want to feel as you're creating your life on purpose? And then the first answer that comes to mind is the perfect and right one for you right now. So, would someone like to shout out what answers you're getting? Go ahead. Static, peaceful, wonderful. Great answers. No one is being thrown out right now. So now what we're going to do together is turn this one word into an affirmation. So we said, I want to feel happy, I want to feel inspired, I want to feel static. But we are going to turn it from the I want into I am. Because I am allows you to ground your power and your possibilities into here and now. And that's really where your power comes from. So go ahead and turn the affirmation in your mind to just simply say, I am happy, I am fulfilled, I am peaceful, I am static. And allow that to be your affirmation, your intention, what sets the destination for where you are going. As Ernest Holmes says, we set up the word and it sets our power in motion. Your word is creative. Your word is law. It is done unto of all the power there is. When you speak the word, expect it to happen. Know that it must be as you say. All right, so now let's move on to our second key, which is authenticity. You already know where you're headed to create your life on purpose. You know that you want to feel happy and fulfilled. In fact, you already are happy and fulfilled because happiness and fulfillment are your birthrights. They are natural state of beings. You were born to be happy and fulfilled. So with the second key, we begin to move beyond the layers of illusion as we dive deep within. We begin to discover what obstacles are getting in the way of living a happy and fulfilled life in the present, not in a future that's far away from now, so that you can begin creating it on purpose. So this is a step where we unlock the invisible realm of the mind. Because even though we might think, I want to feel happy and fulfilled, the intentions we created with our first key can begin to get a little bit shifted into a far future, like this. It might sound something like this. I will be happy when I lose 5 more pounds. I will be happy when I have enough money in my bank account. I will be happy when all the pain in my body is gone. I will be happy when I have enough time to enjoy it all. Do these sound familiar at all? Yeah. Maybe you've heard yourself thinking or saying some of these things and really setting up excuses to procrastinate your natural state of happiness and well-being. So with all these thoughts and feelings, while these thoughts and feelings might actually be and feel very real for you, what's really happening in the background is how we are thinking and what we are believing. What I mean is our subconscious beliefs and limiting thinking patterns are creating the circumstances we are currently experiencing in our life. That is the procrastination, the excuses, and anything that's setting your happily ever after from happening now into a far future. As Ernest Holmes states in his book, Creative Mind, first in the creative series is the word. But the word carries us no further than our consciousness back of it. So we need to take charge. And this isn't about judging or blaming ourselves for having any kind of limiting or negative thinking. This is about taking our power back while disintegrating and dissolving anything that is not aligning with your spiritual truth. With this key, you get to empty yourself of all the junk so that you can really uncover your true spiritual nature. You get to drop your mask and connect with the most authentic part of yourself, the part I like to call your sparkly self. In his book, Life Visioning, Reverend Michael Beckwith writes, there is a sequence of events unique to each of us that breaks through our self-imposed limitations, beckoning the authentic self to come forward and announce itself to us. So my husband and I were watching TV 2 nights ago, which doesn't usually happen, but we had some time. Our kids are growing up. They're almost teenagers, and they want nothing to do with us, so we're behind ourselves, kind of like together and saying, okay, what do we do now? So we turn on the TV, and this really neat show happened to be on, and the show is called What Would You Do? With John Quinones in it. I don't know if any of you have seen it. Really good. This is my first time that I actually saw it. So the idea behind the show is that they hire actors to act out a particular life situation as a skit. And then they have regular people that have no idea that there are hidden cameras or that these people are actors, and they come in, and the whole premise of the show is to find out how these people would respond or what would they do in this particular situation. So in the actual show, in the actual episode that we were watching, there were 2 actors that were hired, and they were in a men's clothing store. One of them was a salesman, and the other one was a man of colored skin that had a black beard. He had a black turban and was dressed all in black. Now, the salesman was pretending he was a racist pig, pretty much, because he was denying service to this person that was clearly of a different race, a different religion, and different color. And so they would have the cameras all set up, but unbeknownst to the people that were walking in. And people would walk in, they would go about their shopping, and the salesman would be extremely loud, pretty much putting down this gentleman for being of a different race, a different color, and having different beliefs. Now, some of the customers that walked in, you could tell by their facial expressions that they were outraged. But they still chose to go about their business and continue to purchase or try on the clothes that were in the store. But those were only a few. The majority of the customers that showed up in the store and were part of this episode were not only outraged, but they actually took their power back and they did something about it. They actually spoke up by telling the salesman that he was completely wrong and he needed to rectify the situation. In fact, one woman that made me totally cry while I was watching her, she went and grabbed her husband and she said, she was talking to the salesman and she said, "If you don't allow this other man to buy clothes here, my husband and I are leaving and we're not buying anything also." So you might be wondering, why am I telling you this story? Why am I telling you about this show that I happened to, surf on the TV and catch 2 days before doing this talk? The point of this is that connecting to your authentic, sparkly self can be easy because it is who you really are. But then standing in that truth and in that power and owning it and expressing it in every area of your life can sometimes be, forget about sometimes, quite often it can be very uncomfortable. Because acting from this place of authenticity and truth might mean that you're not going to fit in. It might mean that your neighbors are going to look at you like you have 3 heads. It might mean that you're not going to look like everyone else does on Facebook. But the reality of it is that this is who you are. And if you are not going to own it, and if you're not going to act from this authenticity, from your spiritual truth, who will do that? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So one of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle, who wrote the book Love Warrior, and by the way, if you haven't read it, I highly suggest you do so. She says, most people on the planet are inauthentic. And that's not because they want to be liars, but because they are deathly afraid of being authentic, of being real. So with this key, it's really important to begin to cultivate a spiritual practice, a practice that you do on a daily basis, a practice that could include breathing, meditation, affirmative prayer, or anything that will allow you to connect with your sparkly self every day. Because connecting with the sparkly self every day will give you the courage that you will need to stand up and to own it and to be who you really are in the world. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it becomes scary, even when you're not sure whether or not you're going to be accepted for it. Because you are a leader, and that's what you came here to do. So right now, I would love for us to try one of my favorite spiritual practices, which is a very special breathing exercise. Would you like to practice it together?
Yeah.
Okay. So this exercise comes from Kundalini Yoga, which is a yoga that I actually teach. And the name of it is Ego Eradicator, because it actually allows us to let go of the ego and move into that sacred space of I am, into that sacred space of your sparkly self. So this particular practice uses a breathing form that is called breath of fire. So before I actually show you what to do with the arms, let me just guide you onto how to breathe. So open up your mouth and begin to pant like you're a dog. And as you're panting, feel your abdomen abdomen going in and out. So, good job. Now close your mouth and do the same thing in and out of your nose. So equal inhale and equal exhale. Great job. Now we're going to make it just a little more complicated, but much more fun. So raise your arms up to 60 degrees on each side of your head. Bring your thumbs out like you're plugging them into the sky. Your elbows are straight. The rest of your fingers are pushed into your palms. Now close your eyes and begin that breath of fire, in and out of the nose equally. If you're pregnant or during the first 3 days of your cycle, do not do this. Just do long, deep breathing. But close your eyes. Make sure your eyes are closed. And inhale and exhale out of your nose, pumping your abdomen in and out. Strong, powerful breath. Might help if you actually blow your nose before you do it. So keep on breathing, keep on pumping. And even when it becomes a little bit tiresome, a little bit painful, move beyond that pain, move beyond the ego, and allow the breath to be the agent that guides you into your sparkly self. Strong, powerful breathing. You're doing great. Only 2 more seconds to go. Now keep your arms up. And now inhale deeply through the nose. Hold all the air in, all the prana, all the energy you just generated. Now, as you're holding the air in, the breath in, bring your thumbs together on top of your head. Allow them to touch. Spread the fingers of your hands. And now gently move them through your aura, through your magnetic field, allowing all beautiful light, love, and energy to surround you right now.
Wow.
And when you're ready, simply open up your eyes and notice what you notice. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how connecting with this breath helps you connect with your sparkly self. And I definitely invite you to practice this often, if not daily, in your life. Just 3 minutes of this ego eradicator can help you start your day fully connected with your most authentic self. So with this key, you got to be yourself, to express yourself uniquely, like only you can, not by pretending or imitating someone else, but by trusting the callings, the stirrings, and the instincts being born within yourself. All right. I definitely noticed a change of energy in the room. That's quite amazing. Very awesome. You did great. And now we're going to move to our third key, which is purpose. So the word purpose comes from the Latin word propositus, and it means to put or set forth. Therefore, your life purpose is simply what you came here to give or to contribute to the world. With this key, you get to unlock the door to the invisible and indomitable realm of spirit. You get to activate your majestic soul's mission. You get to turn on your spirituality. And Ernest Holmes says, spirituality simply means coming to realize the presence of spirit, to rely upon it more than anything else. You are spiritual in as far as you trust in the spirit at all times, in all places, and under all conditions. Often, though, we get a little bit stuck within this key. Because when we ask, what is my purpose? We can have an expectation of our purpose having to be something very important or grandiose. And while it actually is quite royal, placing this heavy burden upon yourself can trip you up into procrastinating more without really activating and expressing what you came here to do. So a few weeks ago, in August, I attended a Kundalini Yoga festival up in the Berkshires. And in this festival, we practice a lot of yoga, we do a lot of chanting and meditation, using a lot of the very powerful mantras that allow us to move beyond our negative thinking patterns and all sorts of conscious beliefs. And there is one particular guru, which means basically a teacher, that lived many, many, many years ago. And his name is Guru Ramdas, and he was the guru of Yogi Bhajan, who was the master that brought Kundalini Yoga to the U.S. in the late 60s, early 70s. Now, Guru Ramdas is the energy, the consciousness, the vibration that you can call forward when you want to connect more with your heart, with compassion, with miracles, and with service. And so for whatever reason during this festival, I was feeling a pretty deep connection with this energy of Guru Ramdas. And before leaving the festival, I kind of made a mental intention to connect even deeper, to really activate that energy of compassion and service even more within me. And so it was that I was driving my friend Alex and myself home. So we were coming down from Massachusetts, and part of that was taking the turnpike. Now, since you're all mainly from New Jersey, I'm sure you've driven in the turnpike before, right? It's like, what exit are you from, right? And so you're driving, and you have your direction, that you're going with your car, and there, of course, there's the opposite direction where the other cars are going. Now, if you're driving on your way, you can see different signs that are posted, along the turnpike that have advertisements for different things. And then on the opposite direction, you only get to see the back of the signs. We typically look silver or gray. That's all you see. So we're driving, and we're probably about 4 or 5 exits away from home. And as I was the driver, and then my friend Alex was in the passenger seat, and as I turned my head to the left in the opposite direction for just a minute, I see the back of a sign, and though most likely it would look gray or silver, it looked as though someone had drawn the following letters in it. S-E-R-V-E. Hugely written in black in the back of the sign. Now, if you can spell, you can probably tell that what that was serve. So I started screaming. I said, Alex, oh my God, did you just see what I saw? Did you see how the back of that sign had the letters serve? And she looked at me like, what? She's like, no. I didn't see it. It was probably just a message for you. And she was right. It was my message. It was a very poignant message because I had asked the higher power, divinity, God, to help me connect deeper with this guru that represented service, compassion, and accessing the energy of the heart even more. And mind you, I am a religious science practitioner here at Joyful Gathering, and one of the things we do is pray, for everyone. And at the end of the prayer, for many, many years, I would always say, please help me be of service. Now, apparently, I wasn't using the correct tense in my prayer. Because when you say, help me be of service, it still leaves you in a very passive state. And that's not to say that I haven't been of service. I have been of service quite often. But when we change that passive state into simply saying serve, that completely activates the energy of service within you. And so one of the invitations, and probably the most important invitation I have here for you today, is to simply shift the question from what is my purpose to how can I serve? So when you shift the question from what is my purpose to how can I serve, you get to move away from all the chaos and the craziness that is happening in our world and in our mind, and you move into the sacred space of your heart. You get to move away from the I into the we. You get to connect your energy, your potentiality, your glittery gifts that you came here to share with the world. And you get to actively begin to take steps in that direction so that you can express them in the way that only you can. You can begin to serve. You can begin to come together as a supportive community, creating more peace, more faith, more certainty, more joy, more well-being, more prosperity, not just for yourselves, but for everyone in the world. I'd like to share with you something that George Bernard Shaw said about his life purpose. This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is sort of a splendid torch which I have a hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it over to future generations. So from the sacred space of happiness and authenticity, you can deeply connect with your soul's given purpose and turn this powerful energy to serve, to help those in need, to come together as a community, and to create amazing positive change, not just in our lives, but also in the world. This is the time, and we are the ones. If you agree with me, please repeat. I am happy, authentic, and on purpose.
I am happy, authentic, and on purpose.
I am here to make a difference.
I am here to make a difference.
I am here to serve the world.
I am here to serve the world.
Yes.
Yes.
So finally, I'd like to leave you with a powerful statement by Ernest Holmes. And he said, "Get out of the rut. God has created you for a glorious future. Dare to fling out into mind the greater assurances about yourself. There is room at the top. Get on top of everything and dare to dominate the earth. Dare, dare, dare." And then a saying from an unknown source says it best. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not on the branch, but on her own wings. Always believe in yourself. I certainly do. I believe that you can soar into new heights by being your sparkly self, living your life happy, fulfilled, and on purpose, and then sharing it with the world. And so it is.